guys, Anthony Rose. Today we're going to teach you guys a pretty cool trick that you guys can use and a lot of your different country dances. You can use it in two-step, you can use it in a polka, you can use it in a West Coast swing or East Coast swing. It's just kind of a cool thing that you can use in all the different dances we're going to teach you guys today. So you've probably seen it on the dance floor maybe, or in a performance, didn't know what you're looking at, and it's called the neck drop. So we're going to demonstrate for you, and then we're going to break it down. By the way, I take no responsibility for you guys hurting yourselves and ending up in the hospital and everything. So check with your doctor, all that disclaimer stuff. Don't do this if you have any sort of neck or back problem.
Practice this first.
Yeah, gently. Maybe put some pillows down on the ground because we're going to be lowering her to the ground. And so not if, but when you drop her, she'll have a soft place to go. All right, so let's demonstrate that.
This is fun, I swear.
All right, so we're going to show you what it looks like, and then we're going to talk you through it. So we're going to be turning her in. We're going to lower her all the way down to the ground, and then we're going to pop her back up. All right, so we'll show you that again from this side so you can see how my hand is transitioning. We're going to be turning her in, switching the hand, lowering her down, and back up. All right, so we're gonna break this down, and that'll give you some examples of how you can use it in the different dances. So we're gonna start from any dance where I've got my left hand, her right hand, and she is basically leaning away from me. So we have a little bit of resistance here. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring her towards me. The hand's gonna come down kind of in a J hook. That's basically creating the letter J motion through the hand. So we're gonna basically bring her towards us, and then we're gonna bring that hand up and start to rotate around that circle around her head. So we're taking her towards us, and guys, you're not really gonna be moving much with her. You're gonna move just a little bit, but we're gonna bring it down. That's a J hook. It comes over her head, and then at that point, we're gonna bring the hand down before we get to the right hand. So I want you to first pay attention to how this is gonna work with this hand. It's gonna come through a letter J, it's gonna come towards us, and then we're gonna hook it kind of like a letter J, like a fish hook or something. So it's gonna come from here, and as soon as this does, it's gonna come over her head. She's still rotating the same direction, and I'm gonna take that around that halo over her head one time, and as soon as it clears over her head, I'm gonna begin to bring the hand downwards as I continue her shoulders rotating. So if you watch just the motion of the left hand, it's gonna J hook, it's gonna come over, rotate around that halo over her head, and then the hand's gonna come down. So it's gonna go here, all right? Now obviously, if you want, I don't want to confuse you guys this early, we got to wait a little bit longer to start doing that, but we could, in theory, lead her for multiple turns and then bring the hand down, okay? So it's going to be up to you guys. But for the most part, the basic of this is going to bring her motion towards me, J hook, comes over top, and immediately bring the hand down, and I'm going to start reaching with this right hand. Now this is called a neck drop. The first thing I'm going to say to you guys about the neck drop is when it lowers down to the ground, I'm actually not going to be supporting her weight with her neck. That can be really painful. It just looks that way. Yeah, so she appreciates that very much. But so if I'm bringing her towards me now, I'm taking my right hand, I'm getting it ready, and at some point her left shoulder is going to present itself to me, and I'm going to be basically placing my right hand basically right near the base of her neck. So if you look at where my hand is positioned here, my hand is going to be positioned with my fingertips kind of over top of her shoulder. All right, so it's going to be in that position. Her rotation is still happening, but if you look, she's going to now take her hand. We're going to talk about that in a second. And now I've got, if you watch where my hand is positioned here, don't lower. If I'm positioned here, my hand is positioned around, my thumb is basically in the center of her back, and my hand is holding over top of her shoulder. So let's get those lovely red locks out of the way for just a second. And so my hand is positioned here. We're not going to cup her in the back of the neck, ouchie. So it's gonna be actually here. So we're gonna do this in slow motion, and I want you to watch how this hand goes into position. We've got all the parts leading up to that, and as that shoulder presents itself, I'm starting to reach. So I'm starting to get my hand in that position. Her rotation is still continuing until I get into that position where my hand is basically wrapped around her shoulder, not so much on her neck. That's actually really important, you know, assuming you guys don't want to end up in hospital. So
maybe we should call this a shoulder drop.
The shoulder drop, yeah. So if we're here, it comes over top. I'm starting to look for that, and I've placed my hand into that. Now, ladies, when we lower to the ground, ladies, you are actually going to be the primary point to support your weight. He's going to be assisting. He's kind of like a safety net, but your arm is going to wrap up over top of his arm, and it's kind of like you're almost doing a pull-up. You're going to wrap your arm around, and you're going to be pulling up on his arm. Look at those guns. So if we go here, that hand notice what Rose does is she takes that hand up and over. So she takes it from down here, she wraps it up and over, and she's going to get pretty close to his deltoid muscle here. We don't want it wrapped around his neck, and we don't want it too low. If that hand gets too low, there's not enough strength there for him to really support you. So you want to try to get close to that deltoid. It's right in between the deltoid and the tricep. I'm just talking all medical terms now.
Yeah, doctor.
The higher part of the arm.
Dr. Dan's in the building.
That's right. So if it goes from there, then when we lower into that, she is kind of supporting her own weight with that arm. So she's going to tighten her arm and actually pull up like she's supporting her own weight. My arm is just essentially the guide and a safety net. Now, guys, that doesn't mean just like, well, hey, you're supposed to support yourself and I'm just going to let you go. Like, you're actually going to support part of her weight also. But so it's a combination. So, by the way, guys, if you're out of the country bar, you're like, I learned that cool step in that cool video with that Anthony and Rose couple, like, don't just pull somebody. They're not going to know what to do. This has to be something that maybe you learn with a partner and you practice it with a partner. So, if we're coming in, and I take my hand into that position, as soon as it gets there, she continues to turn. Before she starts going down, her arm's gonna wrap up and over, and she's got her entire hand, her entire palm wrapped up and over the upper part of my arm. Now, if you notice Rose's feet, she is forward on her right foot, all right? She is now, if we talk about the feet here, she's gonna stay on her right foot. She's not gonna take any more steps. She's gonna rotate till she gets to the right foot. And as we lower into that, she stays on her right foot. Her left foot picks up and around and shoots forward. So that entire rotation there is happening from the right foot. The left foot picks up and then circles around with the weight continuing to stay on the right foot. So if you've tried this already and we haven't broken this down, you brave, like, don't do that. Like, so let us break it all the way down, because there's a lot of moving parts here and a lot of things we have to take into consideration. But if we come up, I just want you guys to be able to do this part and get into that position. Now, if you notice our alignment, her motion is moving this direction and she has rotation, right? I can't be out here, right? She needs to be in front of me because my center is positioned in the center of my body and I have to be able to lower her weight through my center. She can't be past me or I'm not going to be able to support her weight, and she can't be all the way back here. We want to get into a position where her weight is being supported into my center. I haven't talked about the guy's footwork yet.
What weight?
What weight? She's light as a feather. What are you talking about? So, but she is directly in front of me, and what I've got to do with my feet is, as I'm bringing her towards me, I want to get out of her way by stepping here. I want to be facing the side, right? This is what we call a fronted pattern, or fronted movement, meaning that we have a front. Everything projects itself in one direction. So like if you were dancing this in a performance or a competition, we're just assuming that the crowd, the people watching, the people we're trying to look awesome in front of are all positioned in one direction, and this is who we're presenting to. So we want to be, guys, we want to be in this position to where we are actually facing forward and she is directly flat laying across. That's the one thing I've seen people do, is they get into where she's kind of behind or she's out on the side and everything. Our spacing, where are we in relation to each other? Hugely important for this. So you really, really need to practice that. So she's out in front of me. She's going to be progressing more. I'm still going to be moving just a little bit, but I have to align myself to see where is she going to be at this moment. And if I have to take a couple extra steps, fine. But if you notice, her right foot is kind of just right into where my belly button is, or my belt buckle, right? So from there, when she picks her foot up and she goes around, I'm going to lunge into my right foot. So right now my weight is pretty much split between the 2 feet, with her being in my center. As she lowers, I'm going to shift my weight to my right foot. I'm going to get into that lunge position where my weight is primarily located over top of my right foot with my right knee bent. So that when she lowers down, I am going to be into that right leg, right? So her momentum is going to be moving this direction, and it's going to be lowering, and there's still an element of rotation, which is another reason, ladies, if you don't have a good grip on his arm, when he goes lower, you not only get momentum and you're lowering, but you have this rotation that's happening. If you don't have a good grip on his arm, he's going to lower you, and you're just going to keep rolling off of him, and probably that hand's going to go from your back and across your throat, which is also not going to be pleasant, okay? So when you come in, make sure you've got a good grip. And when you practice this, get into position first before you start lowering, making sure the arm takes that hold first. And then once you feel comfortable, she's positioned in the right position in relation to you. Her weight is over her right foot. And then, guys, you're going to lower her and go to your right foot.
And also having a lot of weight on your right leg.
Yeah, all of the weight for you. So basically, like, we can say the weight is supported by the arm and his, and it is, but not all of the weight is going to be positioned there. It's also going to be positioned over top of your right leg. So it's kind of like you've got a weighted point over your right leg and also where you have connection with him. The weight is actually in the center, but it's being balanced by 2 points from the leg to here. You're going to be tempted to, ladies, to not have your weight on one foot. You're going to put the weight on 2 feet, and that's just a bad idea. So if you think about balancing something, so if I had like a, I don't know, like a book or something is sitting here, and I took a pencil and I tried to balance the pencil this way on top of a flat book, you need to have an equal amount of weight on either side. So from the point that I'm pivoting, you've got her head, you've got her arm and everything else, and then you've got a knee and her body's positioned in here. The upper body weighs more than the lower body, but like you want to have that leg shot out in that direction, so it's kind of balancing the amount of weight that you have, and it shouldn't feel heavy if you have the right alignment between the two of you and the weight is distributed in the right way. So when she comes in, I want to get into the right position first, and then when I lower, she's actually going to take her body just as much in that direction as she does that way. It does not going to be like it leans back. It's going to feel like she's being scooped and lowered while the lower half is kind of moving in that direction, so it's not leaning back and past my center. So if I'm here, she's actually going to get into that position, and now I'm just a little bit past her. She's going to take her left foot and shoot it out in that direction as much as she takes her upper body here. And then we'll come up, and that should feel pretty easy. Another thing to watch out for is your spacing between you and a partner this way has to be really close. So as much as I don't want to be leaning out this way, I also don't want to be supporting her weight this way. It's bad on your back and your legs and everything. You'll probably just roll out on top of her.
A lot of it's in the legs for both.
Yeah, so my weight is going lower into here, and it should feel like her weight is being positioned here, not out in front and not past. So that's those 2 places, you don't have as much leverage. It's kind of like if I held a stack of books here, I could hold it, but if I held a stack of books out here, I'm just taking you back to my middle school days when my teacher actually used to make me, I should do that because I wasn't a very well-behaved kid. I'm really broke up about it years later.
Still not.
So if we're here and I get into that position and she gets in onto that right foot, I need to have enough space where she's going into my center and her weight is being positioned here. Now, one thing about the ladies here, you don't want to have a droopy butt, right? I'm not saying you don't want to have a droopy butt. She doesn't have a droopy butt. What I'm saying is you want to engage your core muscles so that you're pulling your stomach forward. You want to try to create a little bit from your knee to your upper chest, create a rainbow shape.
You want to lift your hips up towards the ceiling instead of letting them sink down to the ground.
Well, here's the thing. You want to try to pull it up because gravity and momentum is pulling it down. It's not going to squish between your ankle and your knee. It's not going to make your leg any shorter. He's in control of the upper half of how far you go down, but there's nothing really supporting your center. So you have to pull your stomach forward to keep the momentum. It's going to feel like you're creating a rainbow shape and arching your back when really by the time you do that, it's just going to look flat because gravity is also pulling it back downwards. So you really have to engage your lower back to pull your stomach forward. So we're going to pull her in, get into that position, and she's going to pull her upper body upwards. From there, she's going to duck up under that arm and stand her up, right? Guys, when you do that and you're lowering into that knee, all you got to do to raise her is push that leg off the ground and stand up. I don't want to see you doing this so much. You might have to do a little bit with your arm, but mostly it's just from standing up with that leg.
Super buff.
All right, so we're going to show you this again. We're going to break it down step by step, and then after that, we're going to show you guys how to use it in different dances. We'll give you some demonstrations from polka and two-step and West Coast swing. So the first thing we do, we get into this expanded position. We bring her towards us. We J-hook. We bring the hand overhead. Notice I'm slightly moving back. She's slightly moving a little bit towards me. We bring the hand down. We get into that position. Remember, not her neck. And then as we get here, she puts her arm over top of my arm, and I've got to take another step to move in that direction as she shoots that leg forward. And then she pulls her core up. I lift through the leg, and I can send her out. Okay. If you guys haven't done so already, it would mean so much to us if you guys would subscribe here and follow us. You know, we produce a lot of content here, a lot more tips and tricks, and we have a lot of videos and everything. We also want to know what you guys want to see. So if you have any suggestions or questions or everything, please leave them down below. Question of the day. Here's one thing I want you guys to write down. What video or what style of dance, what would you guys like to see next? So just leave that down in the comments below, because we do read that stuff and it would be really helpful to know what you guys would be of value to you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to demonstrate that to a couple dances, and then we'll see you guys next time.